mind was reminding her of the horror she had committed for this mission. This mission for Marley. It is the morning before the Scout Regiment's 57th Exterior Scouting mission, and she has been sleeping at the Military Police Regiment barracks at Stohas District. As she gets ready, she ponders that what has to be done has to be done, no matter how much blood will be spilled. She then reminds herself of her mission to infiltrate the expedition of the next day and capture. Annie reads a letter from Reiner in which he tells her about the preparations for the expedition and the fact that Eren was located on another squad and has not been seen. Hitch, I can't say her last name properly, then gets out of the shower and, feeling curious, takes the letter and reads it, but returns it back to Annie after finding it boring. It's probably the best for Hitch that she was too unbothered to question Annie further. She'd be dead if she was too nosy. Annie asks Hitch to report her as sick the next day so she can meet someone. Hitch agrees and hands her a sketch of a young woman who was reported missing. Although Hitch was tasked with finding her, she claims that she has been forgetting and believes Annie taking care of it will return the favor for Hitch reporting her sick. In the cafeteria, Annie reads the poster of the missing person. Carly Strutman. Born in the year 830, she's 20 years old, only daughter of Elliot G. Stratman, president of the Marlene Company. At the Stratman's mansion, Annie is brought into the house by Elliot's butler, leading her to Elliot Stratman himself. Annie says that she is there to find out more about Carly's disappearance, to which Elliot includes that means they have no clue yet. The father is quiet, calm for her daughter being labeled as missing. In fact, he's way too calm, I mean, maybe because he's rich. All rich people tend to be nonchalant and stuff, but if your daughter was missing for 10 days, surely you'd be a little bit more freaked out than this. Or maybe I'm missing something. Elliot explains that 5 days before she went missing, Carly did not show up for dinner with him, a tradition in the household regardless of their busy schedules. Annie asks many questions concerning Carly, but Elliot responds to each saying that he knows little about his own daughter. The dinners together every day are held on the condition that neither would interfere with each other's businesses. Elliot tells Annie that their family returned to Stohas District 3 years after Carly had graduated from Heinrich University with a major in chemistry.
You know what's crazy? This is good, bro. This is good. But why not put this energy into a job or something?
Annie asks if Carly could have been kidnapped, but Elliot dismisses this idea, saying that he had not received any ransom. Annie then questions whether Elliot had a good relationship with his daughter, to which he replies that he has no idea what Carly is thinking, and Annie doubts that there is any father in the world that could ever know what their daughter is thinking. The conversation is cut short by a loud knocking at Stratman's door as Elliot sends his butler to answer the door. The butler returns with a letter by the visitor. Elliot then burns the paper in the ashtray, clearly indicating that there is something that he has been told with much distress. In the Military Police Regiment documentation rooms, Annie asks Marlowe. These last names are ridiculous. We ask Marlowe, the guy who wants to change the MPs from within, also the guy that joined the Scout Regiment and got killed on Mission 1. Anyway, Annie asks Marlowe for information about the Stratman family and the Marlene Company. She learns that the Marlene Company mainly traded with merchants from Olmaria until Shiganshina District fell in the year 845. After the fall, Marlene Company went into a large downsizing, reduced to only a carriage service. Annie is skeptical of how Elliot Stratman can remain so financially stable with only a transport service. Well, you already know it's a transport service. Either women or drugs are getting transported. I'm not gonna say which it is, but with reference to the real world, people who tend to do such a transportation tend to walk free with a slap on the wrist as a jail sentence. I'm not trying to mention anyone in particular, but furthermore, she is also curious about why Carly Stratman is unemployed despite having graduated from Heinrich University with her major in chemistry.
A job.
Annie asks for any interrogation records relating to the Stratman's family, and she discovers that Carly was interrogated 2 years ago after being found in a drunken state at a bar in Stohes, the Pit-le-Doors. She heads to the Pit-le-Doors without any delay. Annie might as well be an Ackerman in disguise because of the way she interrogates these people. At the tavern, some goons at the tables on the left laugh, but immediately stop when Annie arrives. She asks the patrons of the table about Carly Stratman, and one of them denies and tells her to run back home while stretching out his arm to grab her posterior. So the man is pinned against the table. She takes a small bag out of his pocket and empties its contents of the table, stating it to be pills of a drug called Coderone. I told you guys, it's the Tsar, which can get him 3 to 5 years in prison. So, using the Coderone as a
blackmail! Thank you, Cleveland.
One tells her that Carly frequently visited the Pit-le-Doors to buy beers for them and dance with them, becoming loved by all the regulars for her generosity. They say she disappeared 10 days ago, noting that she had become angry at times before her disappearance whenever she saw someone using Coderone. Strangely, she showed no such anger with other drugs, but specifically hatred towards Coderone. They suspect that Carly may be involved in some illegal activity, which would explain her financial independence despite being unemployed.
A job.
We also know that a strange man with an artificial eye visited the tavern, asking about her whereabouts. The bartender tells Annie that Carly's lover, Camper Bolts, finally a last name that isn't too complicated, may know more about the matter. As she explores the streets, Annie forces information from a bunch of guys. The men gave her their Kemper's address, Block 225. The door is unlocked.
The door, dear.
She decides to search the home for any clues about Carly, and she comes across a drawer full of Coderone pouches inside the closet. Searching further beneath his bed, she finds a man's corpse. She knocks over some glasses of liquor as she stumbles back in shock. I'm kind of surprised that this managed to throw Annie off, especially because of the stuff she's done. So because she knocked over some glasses of liquor, she irritated a neighbor with the noise. As she realizes that she did not lock the door, the neighbor begins turning the doorknob. Wow, what a friendly neighborhood. The dead man's neighbor angrily bangs on the door while Annie rushes to close it and lock it. She succeeds and the neighbor goes back to his own apartment. This is Camper Bolts. And the fact that the body is still warm reveals that he died recently. After the neighbor had gone away, Annie locks Kemper's apartment and returns to the carriage, wondering about the motive behind his death. Thinking back on the briefing in the military police barracks, she calls that the drug Coderone was only recently introduced to Stohes district after it started circulating in the capital. She wonders how Carly and Kemper could have such a large of a stockpile of Coderone, and she decides to return to Stratman for further questioning. But when she returns to the carriage, she finds that the man with the artificial eye who was searching for Carly was waiting for her inside and threatens her with a knife. If only this man knew what a knife does to a Titan shifter. The man with the glass eye, his name Wald, informs her that they plan to kill her and dispose of her body in the industrial area of Stohes. Annie asks for her silver ring back. Wald tells Lou to give him the ring, and he discovers the small blade hidden within the ring. Suspecting that it is poisoned, he attempts to prick Annie's hand, but changes his mind seeing Annie's willingness to let him test it. Having noticed Lou's lack of self-control, what follows next is an amazing scene that got my blood rushing.
You cocky little...
You're that stupid.
The carriage bursts into pieces and Wald is left injured. She approaches him and Wald tries to defend himself. I loved this scene so much. It was just really cool to see how Annie used her Titan powers to escape this I don't know, it just really hyped me up when I was seeing this OVA. Imagine how confused these guys are. No one in the interior apart from the military know about Titan transformations. The perspective from these goons must be hilarious. I mean, I don't even think if they saw the hand, they just saw an explosion. So Annie subdues him easily and once again asks him about Carly's whereabouts, just as he is about to tell her.
Carly is that.
Seeing that Walt is alive, he decides to kill him and take over their job. Walt asks if Lou was the one who killed Kemper, and he denies it before shooting Walt in the chest.
Like it matters.
Annie is obviously fine, which I'm curious what Walt thinks about this, because she clearly saw her get shot in the chest and she didn't have any armor. But I think at this point, he's too bothered to even ask, bro. This woman just exploded out of nowhere and survived a gunshot wound. What a time to be alive. She asks a dying Walt about Carly's location. Walt confesses that Carly is at his office, number 197 Van Gelder Street. He tells her that he and Lou are odd jobbers who were tasked by Elliot Stratman to find Carly and return her to the Stratman family home. Walt laments that he was nearly able to leave Stohes had he finished this task. And with this, he dies. Having returned to the Pitledores, Annie overpowers Lou, and taking his pistol, she demands that Lou must never speak of her arrival at the Pitledores, or her meeting with him and Walt. As Lou passes out from fear, understandably, for me, Annie is literally just the third acroman of this show. Once the chaos dies down, Carly Stratman appears at last. In a private room, Annie and Carly speak together. Carly is informed of Kemper's death, and Carly explains that she was the one who produced the corduroy. Well, obviously, she's a chemistry genius. All chemistry geniuses end up being drug producers at one point in their life. She reveals that Kemper was a dealer of the drug. Her father was in charge of the trade. The Stratman family had been using their carriage business to send corduroy to the capital, sending that za to everyone. Carly had agreed with her father that corduroy would only be sold in the capital, and as long as the agreement lasted, she would bring as much fortune as he wanted. However, human greed proceeds. Elliot had begun to sell corduroy within Stohes district, and because of this, she left home. She chose to live with Kemper for a time and wanted to leave town, though Kemper did not. Kemper wanted to earn more money, leading to his blackmail with Walt and Lou, but Lou had betrayed him after everything was revealed. Carly asks Annie to pretend that she had not been found. Annie asks Carly why she began corduroy production, and she admits that she wanted to keep her father financially stable.
A job or something.
Corruption within the capital is insane. Or I don't know if this is the capital. This is within the inner walls, at least. One of the districts within the inner walls. It's insane, but since the No Regrets OVA, we've been seeing how things are really handled within the walls, especially the interior walls. All while suicidal maniacs go outside the walls for quote-unquote humanity's future. Annie forges a Wall Rose travel permit and returns to the Pitledores. Annie gives her the forged Wall Rose travel permit, and Carly tells her that she will leave since she will not be able to stop wanting to help her father if she stays.
A job or something.
Returning to the mansion of the Stratman family, this is the conversation that they had.
I've more or less confirmed that you killed Kemper Bolts.
That's completely ridiculous. Why would you say that?
This morning, while you and I were talking here in this room, your butler came in and handed you a note. It contained a message from Kemper. Did it not? He'd been surreptitiously watching your estate, so when I entered your residence, I'm certain he noticed. Realizing that MPs were on the case made him panic. As a result, he decided to demand the ransom money early. Just bring the money to my house, and I'll give your daughter back. I bet that's the gist of what the note said. So you went to Kemper's place, as he'd suggested. The two of you drank, and you spoke. I don't know what words were said, but In the end, you killed him.
Annie and Elliot dispose of Kemper's body at the end. Elliot asks why Annie involved herself in the disposal, and she says that she is doing it for her own sake. Because what must be done has to be done no matter what. Also because if this body was caught, she'd probably be questioned, blah blah blah, and her mission and whatever. So, yeah. Marley. Yay, Marley. At the military police regiment barracks, Annie files a false report about Carly and Kemper, claiming that they had left the capital under false names 3 days ago. You see, this OVA, I love it for the world building it does. I love basically all the OVAs world build further in the walls, because the anime in general is always thinking about the bigger picture, you see, but this one shows us the little things that happen within the picture. The corruption within the walls is just really interesting to me. It's a very different feel from the Scout Regiment. Well, yes, there might be corruption there too, but it feels like those suicidal maniacs are the most human in the walls, despite fighting the most inhumane battles possible. The capital is a reflection of the people that govern it. The royal family and the military police allow these things to happen because they benefit from it. So who is to blame for this? The world for being cruel, or humanity for facilitating that cruelty? Who is to blame? What do you guys think? Should the status quo remain as long as the people are quote-unquote safe? Or should there be chaos as long as the people above do not continue to benefit from the hard work of the people below? Yeah, y'all can tell me in the comments. And wow, I just realized I haven't talked about gambling all episode. Huh, that is not right.